you're not my audience. Today you're my candidates, okay? Because I don't know if you know this, but you signed up for a job interview today. You guys are going to be interviewed by me. Were you expecting this? I hope you were, because I have a job for you today. I'm looking for someone to help me with my webinars, to prepare them, to make them better or whatever. So I think maybe the person I hire today will be able to help me with the webinars, okay? How does that sound for a new job? I don't know what I can pay you, but it'll be a fun job, I promise. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael, okay, as you can see on the screen probably, Michael Berenson, and I am a director of studies at Astex, and I'm also a teacher. I also develop content, and one part of my job at Astex is interviewing teachers. So I have to interview teachers in their second interview, all right? I've also done a few interviews in my life where I've been interviewed, but I've had to interview candidates for teachers and for people that work in material design, okay? So I see many things as from the perspective of an interviewer, okay? And I think this will help to give you guys some advice. Today we're going to look at different vocabulary, different grammar that you would use in an interview, okay? And this will help you for an English interview, but the tips that I'm going to give you will help you for other, oh, wow, I don't even have that. I'm not even sharing the PowerPoint now that I'm thinking about it. You guys didn't remind me. 1 second, I'm going to put the PowerPoint up. But I'll tell you the objectives for now, okay? I want you guys to get some phrases that you can use in the interview, some new phrasal verbs, some tips, okay? And the right grammar and vocabulary to use in interviews, all right? These are my objectives for you today, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and share that PowerPoint. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. I'm still here. I'm just trying to send. I knew something was missing. Okay, there we go. Now I'm back. Now you can see me again. All right, guys. Well, as I say in every webinar that I have, I do like to get participation because the webinar is not going to be the same without your participation, okay? And especially because this is an interview, I'm interviewing you, all right? This has been a long day interviewing people. I'm hoping that this interview, I'll find the right candidate from this interview, okay? So, all right. And another thing I didn't mention is you'll learn as well as what to answer in an interview. If you give interviews in English, you'll learn some things to ask, okay? Of course, this is a very abbreviated webinar because there are probably hundreds of questions you could ask in an interview, all right? Hundreds, thousands of questions you could ask in interviews. So I am going to give you kind of the most common questions that you would ask or that you would be asked in an interview, all right? So that's what we're gonna look at a little bit today. But the first part, I need a lot of participation, guys. I want you to look at this, okay? And there are 6 mistakes here that I've included, okay? So you can participate in the chat if you want and tell me what mistakes you see. What mistakes can you see? Can you spot these mistakes? I'll read it for you, okay? I'm engineer. I'm working in this company since 2005. I am the responsible of new projects. My functions are elaborating reports, forming new employees, and contacting with the stakeholders. What is wrong here? We've got 6 mistakes. We could even say 7. There's one thing that I wouldn't normally say. So we'll say 7. Too much punctuation. Well, that's a good point. But you know, in American English, we're really direct. It's punctuation after punctuation. It's phrase, phrase, phrase. But we could use some connectors there. You're a really good. Patricia, you must be a really good grammar student. You must like connectors. That's an odd thing to find. A student who really loves grammar. So maybe you like it a lot. But yes, the first one, the first mistake we see here, Natalia has just said it. You would say, I am an engineer. Remember, and also Maite answered correctly there. I am an engineer. Okay. I'm not engineer. Okay, for professions in English, we say with the article. Remember this, okay? Another thing we have here, I have been working in this company. Okay, not I am working in this company. Good, all right? Again, I am responsible for. If you attended some of my previous webinars, some of these things have already come up. In the video calls webinar, we talked about some of these, at least one of these mistakes, talking about the responsible. We don't have a title in English, which is responsible. You can say he's the head of something or she's the manager of something, okay? But he or she is not the responsible of something, all right? We have an expression which is I am responsible for, meaning my job is to do this, but it's not my title, okay? All right, there are a few other things here. We've got 3 mistakes now. Can you spot the other 3 or 4? I'll let you say 4 here. What are the other mistakes? They're in these next, in the last sentence, there are 3 to 4 mistakes. You guys know? Yeah, we wouldn't say to form new employees. We would train a new employee, okay? Giving them training. I'm giving you guys training. I'm giving you guys training in English. I would never say I'm forming you, okay? What else? There are a couple more. I know you guys can get them. If not, we'll go ahead and move on and I'll tell you what they are, okay? All right. Well, we'll go to the next slide so I can show you the correct version of this, okay? So I would start out by saying, I am an engineer, okay? Good. I have been working in this company since 2005, all right? I work in the project management area and I am responsible for new projects, all right? My main responsibilities are preparing reports. We don't elaborate reports, okay? I would say main responsibilities instead of functions, okay? Training new employees and contacting stakeholders. We don't contact with, okay? We contact directly. Someone said in the chat, it would be better a sort of storytelling, I think. Well, I think especially if you're a creative person and you're going for a creative job, you would need storytelling. But in this, I'm focused on the grammar, all right, and all of that. We could make this much more beautiful, yeah. You could tell your life story, which I think is fantastic. I like that idea. But here we're focusing on the grammar and the vocabulary. So that's why why it's very basic, okay? Because I want you guys to see some of the common mistakes and some of the things that I hear sometimes when I have interviews, okay? If I interview, sometimes I have to interview people in something I forgot to mention. I have to interview people in English to check their English level. And I ask them very difficult questions because I want to check their English level, okay? And I use normal job interview questions for these, okay? And these are typical, this is kind of a typical thing that I might hear from somebody, okay? Of course, we need to make this much more elaborated, make it a nice, beautiful story. That would be fantastic, all right? But for now, we're focused on the grammar and the vocabulary, okay, guys? All right. So, after the interviewer says to you, tell me about yourself, okay? This is the typical first question. Tell me about yourself. And this is the answer that I've given, all right? And I'm giving the explanation for each of these, okay? But one of the next questions, you know, that kind of ties into yourself, we talk about what your strengths and weaknesses are. So before I give you guys some tips on strengths and weaknesses, could you tell me, for example, what your biggest strength is? Could one of you give me some examples of strengths that you might have? You can participate in the chat again. Tell me what your biggest strength is. I know you guys have lots of strengths. You guys are good workers. You're an empathic person, yeah? All right, good. You have a lot of empathy. That's great. Proactive, that's a good one. That's something we look for. In a lot of jobs and we'll get into that in the behavioral part, we look for proactive people. We look for assertive people. We look for assertive people when we're looking for leaders a lot of time. We're looking for people that have leadership skills, that they need to be assertive. Very good. We look for, creative. If I'm hiring somebody that needs to be creative, I'm looking for creativity, and I might expect certain things from them, yeah? I'm a good team worker, okay? I'm very resilient. Ooh, I like that, Marta. That's a very good one. If I have someone say I'm very resilient, I think I'll probably hire them, maybe. Marta, I think I'm going to hire you to help me with my webinars, okay? I'll hire you, and then I'll hire Patricia with her creativity. All right, good. So you guys have a lot of strengths, but one of the difficult things to express in an interview, and one that requires more, I think, more training or more preparation, let's say in this case, is to talk about your weaknesses. Usually they'll ask us for one weakness, but how do we answer this question? What weaknesses would you give? Because you don't want to be, you want to be honest, but you, at the same time, you don't want to say I'm lazy, and you don't want to say something like, I'm not punctual. I arrive usually 30 minutes late, and but I leave at the time I'm supposed to leave. You don't want to say something like that, even though it might be true. You don't want to say that, okay? So you want to find a good weakness. What are some examples of something that's a good weakness? And sorry, I will not accept I'm a perfectionist. I do not like this weakness, and I think I stand with many other people. If someone answers, well, I think I consider myself a perfectionist. If someone says that to me in an interview, I just think that person has no creativity. They're trying to hide something, maybe, or this is the most typical answer. And I think an interviewer is going to roll their eyes. I don't know if you guys know what rolling your eyes is. It's when you make this like that face. You say, oof, oh my God. Someone else saying I'm a perfectionist. So what else that you can say? Very good, Sophia. I got Sophia says here something that you can improve. Yeah. So you have some weak area, but what you need to improve. Yeah. What would you need to improve in this case? I'm giving you guys some examples. All right. You gave some really good examples of strengths, but I'm going to go ahead and give you some examples of weaknesses that I think are really good. And one of my own weaknesses that I think that I'll share with you. Okay. So you could say I'm a creative person, or I'm very creative. Okay. I'm very disciplined. We already looked at a lot of these. Okay. You can make it a bit longer. I'm 100% dedicated to my job. Okay. Maybe some companies want that. They want somebody that's always dedicated. But it depends. Maybe you're trying to work for a company that really values work-life balance. And if you're too dedicated to your job, they might not want that either. So you never know. It's always looking, and really, the job that you're applying for. Okay. And you need to do the research beforehand. You need to see, and this is something I don't think I need to tell you. I think you know this already. So you need to do the research. You need to see what the company's values are, what the position needs. You really need to do a lot of research before the interview. Okay. But I'm helping you more with the side of what you can say in English. Okay. Or I'm a very honest person. So if you say that you're honest in your strengths, you have to be very honest with your weakness. I'm unfamiliar with the latest software. Okay, this could be a possibility. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, if I'm going to hire you as a computer programmer, and you tell me that you're unfamiliar with the latest software, I might be, I'll say, is that for real? Okay, are you serious? Yes, I have a question here. Is it possible to say as a weak point, I have already finished my master's, and I don't have too much experience, but I can increase my skills in the company? I would definitely say that. But I don't know if it's actually a weakness. I would use that probably in a different part, but I don't know. I don't know if I would say that as a weakness. Like, I finished my master's degree, and you are justifying from the beginning, which is a technique we're going to look at later. But you're saying, well, I've just finished my. I think you want to say I just finished, right? I've just finished my master's degree, meaning recently, or I recently finished my master's degree, and I don't have a lot of the experience, but that's why I would like to work for you. Okay. And you need to show your weaknesses and how this job also will help you to develop your skills more. So in this case, yeah, I think that's a good weakness, actually, to say that I don't have skills, but I have this master's degree. I have all of this work behind me. And, you know, I would even in an interview talk about projects that you did in your master's degree and things that made you stand out. This is a phrasal verb that I'm going to use a lot today and we're going to look at later. But things that make you stand out. You have to, you know, this is all about your personal brand. And you want to show that, well, you haven't worked in that area, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be a good candidate, because when you were doing your master's degree, you had to put yourself under a lot of pressure. You know, you could say that I was very dedicated because I studied every day. I had this project to do. I had to do this, that, etc. You could do a lot of things. Okay. I'm self-demanding. Okay. This could be seen as a weakness. You know, I demand a lot of myself. So this could be, you know, a bad thing, because maybe you're focused on too much on yourself and not the team. You know, you say, well, I need to work better at maybe demanding of myself that I work better in a team, not so focused on what I do, but on what I can do to help the whole team, and you know what the team can do. Okay, so that can be a weakness as well. I try to please everyone. This is a weakness that I have. I think I would say this one, because this is difficult, especially it depends on the type of job that you have. But I can say in my position that I do a lot of different things. Sometimes I feel like I want to please everybody, but you have to prioritize. Okay, so in this case, I try to please everyone, but I've learned in the past few months that it's really important to say no, and to really prioritize things and organize yourself. All right, I think these are skills that people want to see, that you're able to prioritize, you're able to organize. Okay, so this is a perfect weakness. And this last weakness, you can take it or leave it. This is one that I would use. I haven't had an interview in a long time, because I've been working at Aztecs for well, I've been working in the office for 4 years. That was my last interview when I started working in the office. It was for the office position, which was a very difficult interview, by the way. But before that, you know, I had an interview 3 years before that. I really, in the past 11 years in Spain, I've had very few interviews. And so, you know, every interview, what I want to say with this is every interview prepares you for the next one, okay? But if I had an interview, I would probably say right now that I worry too much, because this is a bad thing, because I worry too much. This can affect my work in many ways. You know, if I say, I worry a lot, you know, it can affect my health. It affects my own health, okay? And it can even kind of obscure my thoughts, and it can even, you know, put a lot of extra anxiety on me. And this happens sometimes. I worry too much about certain things, and, you know, I want things to go well. I worry a lot about, you know, the company doing well. I worry about my teachers doing well. I worry about me as a teacher teaching things and things going perfectly, okay? So instead of maybe saying I'm a perfectionist, to say I worry too much about something, okay? All right, this is just me, all right? This is something that I would say. It's nothing, you know, this is my personal thing. It's not, I didn't take it from some professional guidebook on interviews, but this is just something personal that I think is interesting, especially if you're defending it, okay? So I want you guys to practice with a little grammar right now, okay? And this is where we have the linking words. Someone asked me about linking words earlier. I don't know who it was, but when we're talking about strengths and weaknesses, we need to use linking words. It's very important, okay? So if you have your strengths, okay, that's good. You have a strength, but you need to justify why you have that strength. You know, I think they want you to talk a bit more. They don't want you to just say, I'm a creative person. Why are you a creative person? I want you to say, therefore, as a result, well, I'm very disciplined, so, all right. So can I get a volunteer to tell me how you would answer one of these using the linking words? We'll start with the strengths. So for example, I'm a creative person, therefore, any volunteers? Could I get one of you to volunteer? Anybody? I have a shy crowd today. You can volunteer in the chat if you want. If you don't feel like speaking, that's fine. But you can volunteer in the chat and tell me, you know, for example, if I say, someone told me before, I think, I don't know if it was Patricia, she said, I'm creative. So you could say, I'm a creative person, therefore, what does that mean for me? You know, I'm the interviewer. If you tell me you're a creative person, what does that mean for me? I'm a creative person, therefore, I always try to put that extra special touch on everything, you know? Or therefore, I am able to come up with really interesting solutions to difficult problems. It could be, okay? Or I would be, therefore, I would be an asset in the marketing department because I can think of a lot of different publicity campaigns, okay? So this is how I would use therefore, or you could use so. Therefore, I enjoy branding design, and then we would keep going, yeah? I enjoy branding design, yeah? And maybe you would tell an example of, you know, this and that, Okay. Okay, I see. I don't like 15. All right, someone just wrote in the chat. You could also say, a private message that said, I don't like the routine. I think that is an important quality of a creative person. You might not like routine, but you have to be careful how you say that. Depends on the type of job, you know? Because if you're in a company that thinks everything is very, you know, routine, it has to be this way, you know, it might sound bad, okay? But if you're in a company that, that is very, let's say, different, okay, in the sense that they don't like things to be, you know, routine. They like something different, disruptive, okay? So if you're going to work for a company like that, you would say, well, I need to say how I'm disruptive. And so me being disruptive is me not liking routine, which I think helps with creativity. You have to think outside the box, guys. Yeah. So I'm very disciplined. So what could we say with this? I'm very disciplined. So any ideas, guys? I'm very disciplined. So you can say, I'm very disciplined. So if there's a job that needs to be done, I will stay late to finish it, you know? Exactly, yeah. David, David and I are on the same wavelength, I think here. We're thinking the same thing, yeah? I tend to be a very good team player. I'm good. So, I mean, you're disciplined because you're good at following, yeah. I try, but try might sound bad. If you say try, that means you don't always do it. And if we're talking about something, I'm very disciplined, so I always follow company policy, not try. So we would take the try out completely. I'm very disciplined, so I always follow company policy, okay? I am 100% dedicated to my job because, why are you 100% dedicated to your job? What would you say here? Because I love it, yeah. That's good, because I love what I do, yeah. And I might even say I am always 100% dedicated to my job because that's my personality, you know. I feel that if I'm hired for a job, I have to be dedicated to my job, okay? All right. I'm very honest, and as a result, remember, these are strengths. We're going to get to the weaknesses in a moment. Wow, I like that answer. I like that answer, Carlo. I'm inclined to think that it's the better way for achieving results. I think that sounds very nice and formal, and they will be impressed with your English and the way of saying that. Yeah. So, and as a result, I'm inclined to achieve results. You know, or you can, instead of as a result, you could say therefore, I'm inclined to achieve results because of my honesty. You know. I don't let things, you know, and this can be a very important quality that someone's looking for in a company, because if you're honest, you also show commitment, okay? Now, with the weaknesses, we want to do something different. We want to show the contrast, okay? So just to review some contrasting language, okay, this linking language that you guys like, we would say things like although, or even though, but, however, despite, okay? So, although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software, what would you say here? Although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software, Although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software, I'm always ready to learn, okay? Or even better, I would say I'm a quick learner. Yeah, I try to stay updated or try to be up to date on the latest technology. And I would always stress here that I'm a quick learner. If you say I'm unfamiliar, because if you're saying I'm unfamiliar, but then you say that you're staying up to date, you're saying the opposite. So you need to promise something for the future. You need to show. So you say, although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software for this, in the past, I have been able to learn very quickly. Because if you say the contrast to what you're saying, in the sense that you're saying, although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software, I am tech savvy. It's kind of contradictory in a way. So what I mean with contrast is say what you will do. Okay, so although I'm unfamiliar with the latest software, I am a quick learner. So I will learn how to do this. I will learn how to use this tool correctly. Okay, I'm very self-demanding, but what could we say here? I'm very self-demanding, but I'm very self-demanding, but I try hard. I think I gave you an example earlier. I try hard to work, to let things, I'm trying. I would even say this in the present tense. I am trying, I am trying to prevent this from affecting my job too much, okay? I'm trying to learn that not everything is perfect, okay? You guys have some type of saying in Spanish, which I really like. It's something like, perfect is the enemy of good, or something like that. I've heard this many times. It's fantastic. And that's one of those examples, okay? I try to please everyone. However, I realize that I need to stick to my priorities, okay? A good word for you, another phrasal verb, to stick to, okay? I try to stick to, however, I try to stick to my priorities, all right? Or I am trying, showing that you're in the process of this. I'm trying to, all right? Good. I've learned to set the limits. Yeah, I would say I try to please everyone. However, I've learned to set the limits in this case, all right? I worry too much, despite not being in control of everything, or despite all of the work I've done to calm myself down. We could say this. I don't have a good answer for this yet because I haven't had an interview and I don't see myself needing it. But this is something interesting. Yes, I worry too much, despite the fact that I can't do everything. Or that many things are out of my control. Okay. All right, guys. I really appreciate your participation. So this is going quite well. All right. After that, we normally see some of these questions. Okay, these are kind of the general questions that we might hear in an interview. Of course, there are many more. All right. But I want to get into these questions, and then finally the behavioral questions, and then to kind of recap everything. All right. So if I ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would answer with something like I hope to, or I would like to, followed by something else. But it's not that easy. What do we need to do here? If the interviewer is asking me where I see myself in 5 years, what should I answer? Because the answer is not like, you're not going to be able to say what you really think. You're not going to say, I see myself in your job, or I see myself doing what you're doing. I see myself running this company. You're not going to say something like that, but you want to be creative. And the important thing with this is, this question is a question that I call a we question, okay? You're showing what you and the person and the company are going to do together in the next 5 years, okay? So you need to align yourself, in this case, with the company's, kind of with the company's goals, all right? So you might look at their mission statement, you might look, what's going on in the company at the moment and kind of think, I can use this to my advantage. And so you talk about your ambitions, okay? And how you're going to learn, right? I think someone's given an example here. I would like to be promoted in the company, yeah, I would like to be promoted, I would say, but you need to give many more reasons. You know, you would say, I would like to see myself in a you know, position with, and someone else has written here, with more responsibilities, okay? As I keep learning the job, as I keep learning new skills, I would like to take on more responsibilities. But I would always say, kind of like, to help the company or to help you, or to work together to get this done. You know, it's a we question, okay? We have here with more responsibilities, deal with challenges, to learn something new every day. Yeah, and it might be even a good idea not to say, I mean, you show your ambition, but not in a direct way, like, oh, I want to be promoted in another year. I hope to be able to develop myself as a professional within the company. I like that. It's very short and sweet, but you might want to give a couple examples. You know, you might want to say, you know, I would like to learn as much about this area, okay? Or someone said here, to add value, okay? I would like to add value to what we're doing. Good, good. Why should we hire you? This is a difficult question, but not really, okay? Why should we hire you? In this question, this is all about them, okay? This is their interest. This is a they question. The previous question was a we question. It's you and the interviewer, you and the company. And this is your personal profile and what it means to them. This is a they question, okay? So I consider myself, I think this is the best way to say it, I consider myself the ideal candidate because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very creative, but I'm also very assertive, okay? I like disruptiveness, but if I have something that I want to say, I will say it. I stand out. Again, I'm using this phrasal verb because we're going to see it later. And stand out we use a lot, okay? And this is something, stand out means that you're noticeable, you're different from the rest, okay? So I consider myself the ideal candidate because, or I stand out amongst others because, okay, we can take away that I consider myself, and we can say I stand out amongst others because I've done this, I did this in my past job, which can help to do this for your company, okay? It's all about they, them, or in this case, you'd be using the second person, you, okay? All right. Because my background, okay, has a good fit with this position. Yeah, but here again, we're saying my background, but you're really selling yourself here. You're really selling what you are gonna do, but what the advantage for them, okay? So my background and skills are good for you because I studied this. I worked for 5 years on in this similar department doing these projects, and I had these results. And so I could do those same results for you, okay? Or I could perform those same results for you. What did you like least about your last job? This one is really a disgusting one, I think, because it's really hard. So you might have left your last job on your own, or you might have been fired. Yes, it's a trick question. Very good. Yeah, this is a trick question, okay? And this question is about you, but what they want to see with this question is why, what you're going to say. They're going to test you, you know? They might have an idea of why you left your last job, but, you know, the most typical way to say this is kind of, not typical, but I mean typical in a good way, okay? You might say something like, I've thought about this a lot lately, and while I was really, we use while in the sense that, like, while I was really happy in this position and with my colleagues, I felt that I wasn't reaching my full capacity. I couldn't go higher. So we need to talk about something. I stopped learning, could be one thing, yeah, I stopped learning. I felt a bit stuck, okay? But we need to use a technique called the hamburger technique or the sandwich technique, okay? Where you put the bread is something positive. Then you put the filling, it could be vegetables, meat, whatever. That's the negative thing you're gonna say. And then we finish it with positive, okay? So I thought about this a lot lately. And while I really enjoyed the opportunity I had with this, with my previous company, and it gave me an opportunity to grow, I realized that I needed to take a different direction. So you know, you can end it on a positive note. So I appreciate everything that happened, but I need to improve, and I need to work on, you know, expand on my skills. Okay. Could I say I exhausted my motivation? That kind of sounds negative, actually. So depending on the, I mean, depends on how you say it. All right. You can say I wasn't motivated. I mean, I wasn't motivated because of something, or you would need to say I wasn't motivated, yeah, but because this, and that, right? So while I enjoyed my job, I wasn't motivated because I wasn't given the experience to move up. But the interviewer might be thinking, well, why didn't, you know, and they might ask you, why didn't you talk to your manager about this? You know, why didn't you express these concerns? You might say, well, I did, but there was no more room for me to go up, or I like this one a lot. Someone's just written, sorry, I didn't feel identified with the company culture. This could be a possibility as well, you know. But we always have to start on a positive note, then say the negative, and then bring it back to something positive, okay? That's sandwich technique. All right. Next thing, and we're gonna get into behavioral interviews, okay? And then we're gonna finish up with a review, okay? I'm gonna go over a few phrasal verbs with you guys. I mentioned one phrasal verb a lot already today. What is that phrasal verb that I've been saying almost in every slide? You guys remember, just from me saying it? I haven't written it down yet. Stand out. Yes, this is the first phrasal verb on my list. Stand out. Okay, what does stand out mean? If I want to stand out, or if I want my future employees to stand out, what does that mean? To stand out. To stand out means to be noticeable, okay? When we stand out, we're noticeable. We're different from the rest, okay? So use this phrasal verb, both as an interviewer or an interviewee, all right? The person being interviewed. Say that, yeah, I stand out, okay? I stand out because, all right? I consider myself this candidate different from other candidates because, or I stand out because, all right? It's a similar thing here, okay? When we're talking about maybe our past, we would say, you know, I'm good at coming up with ideas, okay? I came up with a new plan. I came up with a marketing plan, for a new, or a product launch, you know, a plan for the product launch. I came up with these things. What do I mean by come up with? What does this mean? This is something that you would use as well in a job interview, to come up with something. Yeah, it's like to think of, to create, to come up with an idea. Normally, we would normally say like an idea, to come up with an idea, yeah? Good. What about to take something on? This is something else that you could use in an interview, to take something on. Have you guys ever taken on, I think I said it before, you know, but you would take on a new challenge, okay? So I felt that in my previous job, for example, what did you like least about your last job? I felt that I wasn't able to take on any new challenges. It was all very routine, the same work all the time. I wasn't able to take on new challenges. Or you could say, I am willing to take on, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I hope to take on many challenges with you and be able to solve many problems along with the company, okay? Something like that. To carry out, when do we say carry out? When would we say carry out, carry something out? Yeah, well, we've got the Spanish here. Someone sent a message saying llevar a cabo, okay? That is the direct translation. It's to do something, really, but it's a nice way to say it. It sounds like you have a bigger level of English, okay? So if you say, I carried out a lot of tasks, all right? If I say I have to go over a lot of reports, what do I mean by go over? I go over a lot of reports, or I went over reports before I handed them in to my boss. Or could we go over the presentation before I give before I do it? Yeah. To review. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we would say to review something. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm going to give you guys some homework, and later I will follow up on this in the next meeting. Okay. What does that mean? To follow up on something. So I'm going to give you guys some homework. I'm going to give you something to do. But the next webinar next week, I'll follow up on you and see what's been done. Or I might follow up on some clients, some customers, to see how they're doing, you know. I'm going to follow up on somebody. This is another possibility. Yeah. All right. Follow up on is kind of to keep track. It's kind of to check something, though, I would say. So if you follow up on a client, so imagine you know, I do this sometimes. I had to prepare a plan for a student the other day and look for it, and well, I had to help find a teacher for this person. I had to come up with a good plan for him. And after his first class, I phoned him and I said, you know, I just want to follow up and see how everything went, okay? To kind of follow up on something. Or it could be something negative. It could be follow up on complaints, all right? To check on these things, all right? Good. Two more. What if I sort something out? What does that mean? I had to sort out, I had to, yeah, it's similar to figure out, Yeah, I had to sort out a lot of problems on my job, okay? And the last one is to try something out, all right? This is similar to try, all right? We try something out, so maybe we say, well, I left my last job because I wanted to try something out, to try something new, okay? To test. Very good, all right? So the last part, now that I've taught you these phrasal verbs, okay, I want to do a few behavioral questions, because in many interviews, competence-based interviews, they're going to ask you questions about your previous job in kind of difficult situations where they're going to be able to see what you did. And these competence-based questions really fit into different profiles, okay? So they're going to be looking for something. So if I say, tell me about a time when your work was criticized, I might be looking for, with this question, obviously I'm looking for how this person dealt with the situation. We're always looking for how the person deals with the situation, but I'm looking for a certain competence here. Okay, so one of the competencies may be, you know, if the work was criticized, their ability to, in this case, I might even look for leadership, you know. A leader who's criticized is not going to take it the same way, you know, and so a leader will be able to say, well, I made a mistake, you know, and maybe that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a leadership quality here, okay? You had to give someone difficult feedback. All right? This is something difficult. This could be another thing where I'm looking for leadership, all right? Giving someone difficult feedback. Dealing with conflict on the job, all right? Again, this is another thing where we're looking for leadership, but there could be many other different types of competencies. These are typical questions that you might be asked in a behavioral interview. And these are more and more common all the time. Or that you did something wrong. You're not going to say, no, I never did anything wrong, okay? What you want to do in these situations is you want to say, I did this, you know. They're going to ask you a lot of questions like, and what did you say? What did you do? How did you feel? These are the typical questions that come afterwards, okay? So if I say, tell me about a time when you did something wrong, you're going to answer, well, there was this one time that I made a mistake with the Excel and I deleted all the results. So what they want to see here is that you were able to, in this case, come up with a solution, all right? They're looking for problem solving, It could be. This is one competence that could be looked for, or many others, all right? So they're saying, how did he solve that problem? He did something wrong, but he solved the problem. And this is how he felt. And so if he felt this way, then this is a good fit. And this is a very, the competence-based questions are very deep, okay? But this is just one idea. This is just one area, okay? And so when we have competencies, we could have creativity, we could have commitment, we could have leadership, analysis, problem solving, or flexibility, okay? With the phrasal verbs that I have before, we're gonna go back to these phrasal verbs. Before we get to the final review, if I say that I'm looking, for example, for someone creative, what phrasal verb could a creative person use out of these phrasal verbs? I just taught you guys 8 new phrasal verbs, 4 on each page. What would a creative person, how would you explain that? So if you're in a competence-based interview, maybe if you said one of these phrasal verbs, I would say, that person's creative, okay? What phrasal verb is it? With these, is it stand out? Is it go over? Is it take on? What is it? In this case, I would say to come up with something, okay? So if you come up with something, you are creative, okay? You're able to come up with many ideas, okay? Just to give you some more ideas, and then we're going to get into a review, okay? If you try new things out, you're very flexible maybe, okay? If you take on new tasks, new challenges, maybe you're very committed to your job, okay? Many of these can relate to leadership, okay? If you, for example, you follow up on something, that could be leadership skills, okay? To go over something, this could be analytical skills, all right? You're very good at going over documents. This is analytical, all right? We can go much further into this, but these are just some ideas. But you will use these types of phrasal verbs in interviews, and I think they need to stay in your mind, okay? They will be in the takeaways that you can find on our website probably in the next day or two, okay? So you'll be able to see all of these phrasal verbs and review some of this vocabulary. Thank you. Thank you for your attendance. Well, guys, I'll stick around for another couple of minutes, but if some of you need to go, no problem. Thank you so much for your attention and for your participation above all. And I hope to have you join us in future webinars, okay? So enjoy the rest of your week and have a good weekend. And I hope to see you next week, okay?